I, the super-rich crown prince, will build the richest country. Chapter 21. The royal family should take responsibility and donate 20% of its shares. 2 days later. It was the weekly cabinet meeting. This time, Xiao Yunhai also attended. After listening to the reports from various departments, Xiao Hongjing turned his attention to his eldest son. Do you have anything to say? Yes. Xiao Yunhai nodded. Then go ahead. Hearing this, Xiao Yunhai glanced at the more than 20 people in the conference room and said, Today I will talk about infrastructure and tourism. I have already said that developing the tourism industry is one of the important strategies in the next few years. We have thousands of islands in Xinhan, and the seascape resources are very rich. However, the annual tourism consumption is less than 500 million Han yuan, and more than 90% of them are domestic tourists. This is completely different from the rich tourism resources we have. The annual tourism income of Phuket alone exceeds the tourism income of our entire Xinhan country. This is very abnormal. During this period, I visited many places for field investigations. I found a very important problem, that is, the infrastructure is very backward. This has greatly lagged behind the development of our tourism industry. Take Bangui Island as an example. I have actually visited this island. The seawater is clear, the sand on the beach is fine, and it is rare white sand. It is very suitable for the development of tourism. However, such an island does not even have an airport. Secondly, there are only 2 ferries a day from Lonling and Nanyang. There is even a power shortage on the island. There is not even a decent shopping mall or large supermarket. May I ask why tourists come under such conditions? After a pause, his eyes swept over the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Transportation, the Minister of Energy and others one by one, and they all lowered their heads in guilt. Dare not look directly at Xiao Yunhai's eyes. Xiao Yunhai retracted his scrutiny and continued, whether it is tourism or economic development, improving infrastructure is a prerequisite. Ministry of Transportation. The Minister of Transportation, whose name was called, hurriedly sat up straight, looking like he was listening to instructions. Bangui Island wants to develop tourism. I hope that before attracting investment, the airport, the road network around the island and the wharf can be built first. Is there any problem? Hearing this, the Minister of Transportation complained, Your Highness, the construction of the airport, the wharf and the road network around the island requires more than 10 billion or 20 billion. Even if the Ministry of Transportation is sold, it can't raise so much money. How much can the Ministry of Transportation raise on its own? Xiao Yunhai asked with a frown. Less than 200 million. So little? Your Highness, the Ministry of Transportation is indeed short of funds at present. It needs to build a new tanker port in Lonling, and Xuanyang County in Guangling Province needs to build an airport and Haiyang Highway. These projects occupy a lot of funds. Xiao Yunhai turned his eyes to the Minister of Finance. How much can the Ministry of Finance come up with? Seeing Xiao Yunhai looking at him, the Minister of Finance's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, it was as he expected. Bitterness appeared on his face. Your Highness, the situation at the Ministry of Finance is also very tense. It really can't come up with extra money. Xiao Yunhai frowned, thinking that the current financial resources of Xinhan really cannot afford extra money. After all, the annual fiscal revenue is only several hundred billion Han yuan. A quarter of the several hundred billion has to be used for military expenditure. The remaining 3/4 are used for civil servants' salaries, social security, medical care, etc., and there is really not much money that can be used for infrastructure. Otherwise, the infrastructure of Xinhan would not be so bad. However, he does not plan to pay for it himself. He does not plan to spend the royal family's money. The main purpose is to build infrastructure, and the rate of return is too low. The government has to pay for this money. The royal family can subsidize it. The previous donation of 10 billion Han yuan was mainly to stabilize the people's hearts and improve the royal family's favorability in the hearts of the people, which is different in nature. Seeing his son frowning, Xiao Hongjing was about to speak to ease the tense atmosphere in the meeting room. Then he heard his eldest son say, Since there is no money, then borrow it. When your Majesty went to Longwa before, didn't you reach a low-interest loan? I think you can borrow money from Longwa. They hold a large amount of US dollar foreign exchange. Borrow $20 billion from them to improve the national roads, electricity, communication networks, and other infrastructure. Xiao Yunhai's words stunned everyone in the meeting room. Borrow money? Or borrow $20 billion? Although borrowing money from other countries is not uncommon in the international community, this amount is a bit too big. 20 billion US dollars. Xinhan's annual fiscal revenue is only more than 11 billion US dollars. It means that it will take 2 years of fiscal revenue, and you have to go without food and drink. Will Longwa agree to borrow so much money? Yes, I don't think it's necessary to build so much infrastructure so quickly. It should be done step by step. Xiao Hongjing frowned. Just as he was about to help his son calm down, he heard Xiao Yunhai knocking on the table. Dong dong dong. The sound rang out in the conference room. The originally controversial conference room suddenly became quiet. Looking at the more than 20 pairs of eyes looking over, Xiao Yunhai said in a deep voice, I know what you're worried about. You are worried that Longwa is unwilling to lend, and you are worried that you can't pay it back after borrowing. But I remind you, don't forget Jeddah Bay. After discussing with His Majesty the King, I decided to transfer 20% of the shares of New Han Royal Oil Company to the government at a price of 1 Han Yuan to support national development. As soon as these words came out, the cabinet members all looked at King Xiao Hongjing. New Han Royal Oil Company is 100% owned by the royal family. Previously, it was mainly importing oil and operating gas stations. After the discovery of oil, according to the law, except for any private property, the remaining land and resources belong to the royal family. Now the royal family is willing to give out 20% of the shares. If it was before, it would not move everyone, but it is different now. Now that oil has been discovered, 1 billion tons, it is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. 20%, which means it is worth at least 100 billion US dollars. With this value, there is no need to worry about not being able to repay the loan. And Longwa will not worry that the Xinhan government will not be able to repay the loan. Seeing everyone looking at him, Xiao Hongjing smiled and said, the decision of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is my decision. 20% of the shares will be used to support national development. Selling 20% of the shares to the government at a price of 1 yuan was also a decision made by Xiao Yunhai and him last night after they communicated. The core of the royal family's wealth is based on the right to rule this country. Without the right to rule, all these lands and resources are gone. Taking out 20% of the shares, first, will reduce the public's dissatisfaction with the royal family's monopoly of oil resources. Second, after the government has money, it can also promote public welfare benefits. Third, when the government has money, it can also strengthen the construction of the army. When the combat effectiveness of the army is improved, there is no need to worry about other countries coveting it. On the contrary, the result of eating alone is likely to be nothing. After getting a definite answer from Xiao Hongjing, the cabinet members showed joy and stood up to bow to Xiao Hongjing and Xiao Yunhai. After all, not everyone has the courage to make such a decision. You know, this is a fortune of hundreds of billions of dollars. Chapter 22, Borrowing Money from Longwa, Lu Tianxian comes to Xinhan. Dragon Country. Yanjing. Cabinet General Office. Xianhan Country is asking us to borrow money? An old man with a solemn and majestic demeanor frowned after hearing the report from the middle-aged man in front of him. Didn't they just discover oil? They are rich, why are they asking us to borrow money? If the royal family of Xianhan borrowed money, he would agree immediately without blinking. But after learning about the laws and social system of Xianhan, he realized that the Xianhan government was just a framework, and its source of income was taxes. It didn't even have land. To build a road, it had to buy land from the royal family and private individuals. Such a system was too incredible for the old man. It was more exploitative than the feudal dynasty. No, it was not justifiable to use exploitation. They protected private property very well. As long as you didn't violate relevant laws or commit major crimes, you didn't have to worry about your private property being confiscated. It was probably because of this that the people of Xianhan didn't rebel. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded. It is reported that New Han intends to comprehensively improve their infrastructure and borrow 20 billion US dollars from us to build roads, airports, docks and other infrastructure. Moreover, it is said that the royal family sold 20% of the shares of New Han Royal Oil Company to their government for $1. Oh. The old man showed surprise on his face. Then he smiled and nodded. This New Han royal family is also courageous and capable. They can give up such a big interest. It is worth increasing their efforts to win over. The middle-aged man smiled and echoed, Mr. Lin, you are right. This New Han has been making big moves in recent months. It seems that it has the idea of vigorously developing its own economy. According to news, their crown prince attaches great importance to the tourism industry and is determined to vigorously promote the development of the tourism industry. It seems that he intends to compete with Siam and Java for people. Their crown prince is the little guy who studied abroad at Yen University? Yes, Mr. Lin. Mr. Lin nodded. It seems that the changes in New Han in the past few months should be related to this crown prince. My guess is also. The middle-aged man echoed. Old Lin smiled and said, young people all want to make a career and be enterprising, just like the crown prince of the Middle East. Well, since they have come to us, we must show some appreciation. So, you departments should come up with the rules and regulations, forget about the interest, and lend them money for 5 years in the form of interest-free loans. Just think of it as making friends with this future king. $20 billion is not a lot for Longwa, which has more than $1 trillion in foreign exchange. As for interest-free, it is nothing. They spend tens of billions of US on foreign aid to Africa every year. Most of them are free aid. Yes, the middle-aged man nodded in agreement. 2 days later. Your Highness, Longwa has agreed to our loan request, and it is interest-free. The Minister of Finance ran to Xiao Yunhai's office excitedly and reported. Oh. Really? That's great. Xiao Yunhai was also overjoyed to hear that there was no interest. The interest of $20 billion is not a small number. And it is a 5-year loan. This means that at least $20 to $30 billion in interest has been exempted for them. After the money arrives, according to the previous plan, $10 billion will be used to improve infrastructure, improve the transportation network, and build airports such as Bangji and Shenyang. Yes. The Minister of Finance nodded in agreement. After that, they chatted for a while before the Minister of Finance left. After a while, Xiao Yunhai picked up the phone in front of him and called Lin Na to announce the bidding for Bangji Island. The Ministry of Transportation also announced the next day that it would invest in the construction of an airport and a ring road around Bangji Island. After the royal family and the Ministry of Transportation announced that they would invest heavily in Bangji Island, people outside instantly realized that Bangji Island would usher in great development and had great potential in the future. Many people began to plan to open restaurants in Bangji Island. And some overseas companies. For example, travel companies and real estate companies also began to pay attention to Xinhan. Then they began to study the advantages of Xinhan in developing the tourism industry. They definitely didn't care before. However, as New Han announced the discovery of oil, and the preliminary survey showed that it was 1 billion tons, it is foreseeable that New Han's economy will achieve substantial growth in the next few years. Coupled with the wealthy royal family, this has greatly increased the interest of foreign capital in New Han. After receiving the news, major architectural design firms sent personnel to contact a newly established Bangji Island Development Company, Limited. The company is an independent company under Oasis Investment Company, which is Xiao Yunhai's personal company. Understand the needs, and then start designing a plan. Just as the outside world was buzzing, Xiao Yunhai received a call. It was from Lu Tianxian. You arrived in Chang'an? Xiao Yunhai was a little surprised. Why didn't you tell me in advance so that I could make arrangements? I just want to give you a surprise. Lu Tianxian's coquettish voice came from the phone. The relationship between the two has been heating up rapidly since the last icebreaking. Although they didn't meet, they called each other a lot. Lu Shirshir is the same. But this girl doesn't know his true identity yet. Where are you now? Are you at the airport? Yes, my mother and I are at the airport. Auntie too. Okay, wait, I'll arrange someone to pick you up right away. I wanted to say your mother is here too. But after thinking about it, I told Lu Xiaoli last time, so it's normal for her to come together. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Xiao Yunhai immediately called Lin Na and told her, go to the airport to pick up 2 people, one of whom is Lu Tianxian. After picking them up, arrange for them to stay in the hotel first, and then come back to report to me. Lin Na on the other end of the phone was stunned for a moment, and after reacting, she nodded and agreed without asking any more questions. Go. Yes, Your Highness. After hanging up the phone, Lin Na quickly got up and left her office, and then mobilized 3 cars to rush to the airport. Airport. Lu Tianxian and her daughter were standing at the airport exit waiting. Both women came here for the first time and were full of curiosity about this strange country. Mom, the people of Xinhan are similar to those in the mainland, and they also speak Mandarin. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoli smiled and said, "Didn't I tell you that this country was also founded by Chinese, so they naturally speak Mandarin?" "Oh, it's good, there is no language communication barrier." "Hello, are you Miss Louis Fei?" Just as the two stood on the side of the road, waiting for Xiao Yunhai's people to pick them up, three sweet-looking women came forward with excitement. "Who are you?" "We are your fans. You played Zhao Linger, Wang Yuyan, and Zai Longnu so well. Can you sign for us?" As she said, she took out a pen and paper from her bag and looked at Lu Tianxian with hope. Lu Tianxian was also surprised. She didn't expect that this country also had her fans. After a brief absence, she took off her sunglasses with a gentle look and reached out to take the pen handed over by the other party. "Where should I sign?" "Here is fine." The woman pointed excitedly at a place in the notebook. Lu Tianxian signed her name quickly. "Okay." "Ah, thank you." The woman thanked happily, and the other two women on the side screamed excitedly. However, they did not bring a notebook, and finally let Lu Tianxian sign on their arm. Maybe several people were excited and screaming. It attracted many people's attention. Many people recognized Lu Tianxian. After all, many TV series and movies in Longhua have been shown in Xinhan. "Look, it's Louis Fei." "Where?" "Right there." "Wow, it's really her, go and get her autograph." "Oh my god, she's even prettier in person than on TV." Chapter 23, A Big Shot Came to the Airport? A ferry is also a contrast? When Lin Na took a few palace guards and took 3 Mercedes-Benz cars to the airport, she saw Lu Tianxian surrounded by the crowd. Lu Tianxian, the popular female star in Longhua, Lin Na certainly knew her. Turning around, she ordered a palace guard, "Go to the airport police station immediately, mobilize people and ask them to disperse these people." "Yes." The palace guard nodded and then hurried to find the airport police station. In Xinhan, airports, large bus stations, and ports will be equipped with a police station to handle emergencies. They are mainly police officers, and there will also be a permanent anti-terrorism special task force. At this moment, the director of the police station was leisurely brewing tea, turning on the computer, and watching a basketball game. Dong dong. Just then, a hurried knock on the door interrupted him. "Who is it?" The director was a little unhappy. Frowning, he asked outside. "Director, it's me. I have an urgent matter." Hearing the urgent matter, the director said, "Come in." Click. After the door opened, a man with a crew cut walked in quickly. "What's the matter?" the director asked. "Director, there is a man outside. He is a palace guard. He asked us to gather police forces and go to the airport with him to do something." The man with a crew cut quickly explained the matter. "Palace guard?" The director was stunned for a moment, then reacted and stood up from the chair. He said anxiously, "Where is the person?" "Where is the person?" "Outside." Hearing this, the director hurriedly walked outside. 3 minutes later. "Don't worry, I will do it." Nodding and bowing, he handed the ID photo to the other party with a respectful look, and then the director shouted to his subordinates, "Pass my order, everyone put down the work at hand and follow me immediately. No, follow this special envoy. Don't look at her as just a palace guard, whose status is not as high as his, but she can often contact important people, which is something he, the director of the police station, can't compare with." A moment later, more than a dozen people in police uniforms in the police station followed the palace guards to the airport entrance and exit. "Secretary Lin, they are the police from the airport police station." The palace guards brought them to Lin Na. Lin Na heard the words, swept her eyes over the people in the police station, and smiled, "Everyone, please. No trouble, this is what we should do." The director said hurriedly. "I wondered what the identity of the woman in front of me was, who could make the palace guards feel like they were seeing their boss. Well, let's get started." "Yes." The director nodded in response, and then rushed towards the crowd with his people. On the way, the palace guard had already told the story. "Disperse. Don't gather." With the strong intervention of the police, the young people who were scrambling to see their idols or get their idols' autographs were finally dispersed. Lu Tianxian and her daughter also breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, a 30-year-old, fashionable and capable woman came over. "Hello, Miss Lu, I'm here to pick you up. Please follow me. This is not a place to talk." Hearing this, Lu Tianxian looked at the other party, and saw that these policemen were trying to please the woman in front of them. Combined with Xiao Yunhai's words, she guessed that the person in front of her should be the one Xiao Yunhai arranged to pick her up. Smiling and nodding, "Mom, let's go." What Lu Tianxian could think of, Lu Xiaoli could naturally think of. The two women followed Lin Na into the car, and then a group of palace guards also got into the car and drove away from the scene. There was no communication along the way. The mother and daughter didn't know what to say. Soon, the convoy drove into a 5-star luxury hotel. It is called Changel Hotel and was built in the early 1990s. It is also owned by the royal family. The hotel is also used to receive important guests, including some foreign guests who come to Xinhan. "You too, it's just your room cards." Seeing the room cards in her hand, Lu Tianxian couldn't help asking, "Where is he?" Lin Na had guessed that the woman in front of her should have an affair with her own prince, but she was really good-looking. Hearing Lu Tianxian's inquiry, Lin Na smiled and said, "His Highness has important things to deal with recently, so I asked you to arrange for you to stay here." "Then, when will he be done?" "I don't know about that. Miss Lu has His Highness's phone number. You can call and ask, but I suggest calling at night. His Highness is very busy during the day." As she said, as if she thought of something, Lin Na took out a business card from her bag and handed it to Lu Tianxian. "This is my business card. My surname is Lin, my name is Lin Na, and I am His Highness's secretary. Miss Lu, if you encounter any problems during your stay in Xinhan, you can call the number above." Looking at the business card handed over, Lu Tianxian felt a little disappointed. "I came here with great joy, but in the end I couldn't see anyone. What a gap." Seeming that her daughter was in a bad mood, Lu Xiaoli comforted Lin Na after she left. "Don't think too much. He is the crown prince of a country. He must have a lot of things to deal with. When he is done, he will definitely come to see you." Lu Tianxian understood it well, but the gap was too big, and she was in a bad mood for a while. The palace. Xiao Yunhai's palace. "Your Highness, Miss Lu and the others have been arranged at Changel Hotel." "Well, thank you for your hard work and let you run a trip." Lin Na smiled and said, "It is my honor to serve your Highness." Well, Xiao Yunhai looked up, "You go down and rest first. I will call you if there is anything." "Yes." Lin Na nodded in response, then turned around and left the office, closing the door casually. Xiao Yunhai slowly stood up and stretched his sore muscles. The reason why he didn't bring Lu Tianxian into the palace was actually because he was hesitating. After all, bringing her into the palace would be different. Besides, he is only 22 years old now, and he has no intention of getting married, even if according to the laws of Xinhan, he can marry several people. In the evening, Xiao Yunhai came to Changel Hotel. Then he came to the room where Lu Tianxian lived and knocked on the door. Inside the room, Lu Tianxian heard the knock on the door. Through the cat's eye, he saw Xiao Yunhai outside the door, and opened the door with a look of surprise. Then hugged someone. "You are finally here, I thought you didn't want to see me, I am going back to Yanjing tomorrow." Reaching out to hug Lu Tianxian's soft and fragrant body, he heard what the other party said and laughed. "Nonsense, how could I not see you, mainly because I am too busy during this period of time, and now I come to see you as soon as I finish my work." "Cici, who is it?" Lu Xiaoli walked out of the room, and then saw Xiao Yunhai outside the door at a glance. "Yes, Xiao, it's the prince who's here." Seeing Lu Xiaoli, who was a little flustered and didn't know what to call her, Xiao Yunhai smiled and said, "Auntie is not a Nuhan Chinese, so there's no need to call me your highness. Just call me Xiaohai as before." "That's okay." Lu Xiaoli pretended to be embarrassed, but she was happy in her heart. In her opinion, this was a sign of intimacy. "You guys chat, I'll go back to my room first." Lu Xiaoli knew that the two of them had a lot to talk about, and they might even sleep together. In her heart, she just wanted her daughter to get close to Xiao Yunhai, and it would be best if she could get pregnant, so that it would be a done deal. So, whenever there was a chance, she would help them get together. Seeing Lu Xiaoli leave on her own initiative, Xiao Yunhai nodded secretly in his heart. As expected of an adult in his teens, he knew how to read people's expressions. Without Lu Xiaoli, Xiao Yunhai naturally relaxed a lot, and hugged Lu Tianxian's willow waist and said, "Cici, let's go into the room and chat." Lu Tianxian responded shyly. As soon as he entered the room, someone pushed Xiao Yunhai against the wall without waiting for him to take the initiative. Good guy. Is this still the innocent and pure Xiao Longnu on the screen? There is a contrast no matter how you look at it. Chapter 24, Aunt Lu who is in a difficult situation, Tianxian plays Lu Sueki. That night, Xiao Yunhai went to bed very late. A long marriage is better than a new marriage, not to mention that it has been almost 2 months. Looking at Lu Tianxian, who was sleeping soundly, Xiao Yunhai yawned, turned off the lights in the room, and fell asleep with Lu Tianxian in his arms. However, what he didn't know was that someone in the next room couldn't sleep or was tossing and turning. Until there was no movement in the next room, Lu Xiaoli let out a long sigh. Looking at the time, it was 3:30 in the morning. Calculating the time. I'm afraid it's been 5 or 6 hours. Shaking his head, he wondered in his heart how his daughter could stand it. When he thought of that scene, a spring gushed out of the dry stream and flowed out slowly. The next second, Lu Xiaoli trembled all over, and quickly dispelled her reverie, while secretly scolding herself for being shameless, and how could she think of those things? It's just that people sometimes can't control their thoughts at all. It's just like those drug addicts. One second he said he wouldn't touch the laundry detergent, but the next second he couldn't stand it. The next day. In the morning. The sun is shining. Lu Tianxian, who has been nourished by love, exudes a charming look on her face. What's going on? Why hasn't mom gotten up yet? In the past, she woke up before 8 o'clock. Seeing that no one responded to several messages, Lu Tianxian asked in confusion. Maybe it's the first time for Auntie to come here, and she's not used to it. Xiao Yunhai said casually. After all, Xinhan is a tropical country with a hot climate. As he said, Lu Xiaoli was indeed not used to living here, but it was not because of the hot weather, but because the two of them made too much noise last night, so she couldn't sleep. I couldn't help myself. Really? Lu Tianxian didn't think much about it. Just as the two of them were talking and laughing while eating breakfast, Lu Xiaoli in the room also woke up from her sleep. After waking up, I felt a little uncomfortable. Reached out and touched it. It was slippery and a little sticky. When I took my hand and looked at it, Lu Xiaoli's memory instantly emerged in my mind. The old face blushed. He got up and rushed into the bathroom. The next few days. Xiao Yunhai took time out to accompany Lu Tianxian and her daughter to travel in Xinhan, went to Mount Kinabalu, watched this high mountain in the tropics that also snows, and personally took the two to Bangji Island, which he was going to spend a lot of money to build. After learning that Lu Tianxian had no more movies to shoot next, Xiao Yunhai remembered the previous launch of the Zhu Xian movie IP. Cici, I have a project here. Do you want to try it? Project? Lu Tianxian was stunned for a moment and smiled disapprovingly. You also opened a film company? Well, I can say that I have a film and television company under my name, called Dream Chaser Film and Television, which mainly does animation and IP incubation, but recently acquired the copyright of some Longhua online novels. Well, you should have heard of the novel Zhu Xian? Zhu Xian? Lu Tianxian nodded and said, I've heard of it. I've also read this novel. You've also read it? Xiao Yunhai was a little surprised. Yes. Lu Tianxian nodded. Before, a game company was going to ask me to be the spokesperson. I went to see it at that time, but later we didn't reach an agreement, so I endorsed another game of theirs. Xiao Yunhai understood and realized that this company was the perfect company of Longhua. Well, the novel Zhu Xian, except for the game copyright, has been bought by my company. Recently, we plan to shoot a series of movies like Hollywood. I think you are quite suitable to play Lu Sweki. If you are interested, I will let Dream Chaser contact you. It was not a sudden decision to let Lu Tianxian play Lu Sweki. In his previous life, he had read relevant news reports on the internet. When it was reported that the Zhu Xian TV series was going to be filmed, many people thought that Lu Tianxian was suitable for the role of Lu Sweki. The reason was that Lu Tianxian had played a similar role, Little Dragon Girl, and she was beautiful, so naturally many people chose her. Xiao Yunhai wants to build the IP of Zhu Xian and then build a theme park. Naturally, he hopes that the bigger the momentum, the better. After all, the outside world pays attention to it and the IP is hyped up, and then people will come to visit the theme park or sell peripherals. Isn't this how Hollywood and the island countries play it? Lu Tianxian was stunned when she heard that Xiao Yunhai really had a film company. Obviously, she didn't expect that Xiao Yunhai, as the crown prince, would invest in movies. How many movies will you shoot in this series? How much do you plan to invest? I don't know how many movies you will shoot. It depends on the effect, but at least there will be 3 to 5 movies. As for the investment, there is no upper limit, and $1 billion is possible. Don't worry, this series of movies are all made with heavy money, and the special effects team is made by the world's top special effects team. The movies he invested in must be fine products. Either don't do it or do it well. What's more, he also wants to build a theme park to attract tourists, so naturally he has to build it in the direction of classics. Hearing that Xiao Yunhai is going to invest $1 billion, Lu Tianxian opened her cherry mouth wide, as if she was shocked. You know, apart from Hollywood, domestic investment of over 100 million yuan, not US dollars, is already considered a big production. It is completely different from Xiao Yunhai's investment. Swallowing his saliva, Lu Tianxian whispered, investing so much? Aren't you worried about losing money? It doesn't matter whether the movie loses money or not, as long as it can attract tourists. Tourists? Yes, I plan to build a Zhuxian IP theme park in Xinhan. And the tomb robbing series. Well, in addition to this, there will be some tropical jungle theme, underwater adventure theme parks in the future. Lu Tianxian was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Investing so much in making a movie, just to attract tourists? Xiao Yunhai didn't explain too much. He really didn't care whether the movie investment lost money or not. Anyway, the system had points rewards. What he cared about was to increase the income of the people. Building so many theme parks and attracting a large number of tourists would inevitably drive the development of the service industry. In this way, the income of many ordinary people can increase significantly. It can not only enrich the people's income, gain points, and the people's support for the royal family, but also make money. It can be said to be a multi-pronged thing. On one side, Lu Xiaoli, who had not said a word, saw her daughter standing there stupidly, and couldn't help but take the initiative to say, Xiaohai, Auntie agreed to this matter on behalf of Cici, thank you for your trouble. Although Lu Xiaoli hopes to marry into the royal family of Xinhan, she will not miss this opportunity to increase her daughter's popularity and fame. In the final analysis, marriage is a transaction. The more capital you have, the less likely you are to become a man's vassal in the relationship between men and women. Xiao Yunhai took a deep look at Lu Xiaoli, smiled and nodded, then it's settled. Later, I'll let the people from the dream-chasing side come to communicate with you. Let's go, it's getting late, it's time to go back to the city. Okay. Chapter 25, Weight Loss Drug Endorsement, Fatty Fan. After Lu Tianxian contacted the Dream Chaser Film Company, she happily played the role of Lu Sueki in 3 dramas, which means that Zhu Xian is expected to be filmed in 3 series of movies. Xiao Yunhai did not intervene in how to shoot or how to do it. Anyway, he first transferred $200 million from Oasis Company to the account of Dream Chaser Film Company. The time came to the end of October. The framework and factory equipment of Jimin Pharmaceutical Company have also been in place, and production is carried out according to the pharmaceutical process and formula given by the Research Institute. Xiao Yunhai, who learned about the situation, asked it to submit to the Food and Drug Administration. Under Xiao Yunhai's instructions, it was soon ordered to be Qingying pill and approved. The name Qingying pill is very second year, but Xiao Yunhai doesn't like any Western capsules. The word Qingying describes the body as light and soft. Doesn't losing weight make the body light? After learning that the approval was granted, Lu Lin immediately asked the company's marketing department, contact Longhua immediately and find a fat-looking person to sign an endorsement cooperation. The same is true for the United States. Remember not to be afraid of spending money and find someone with a big name. In addition, the marketing department will establish our channel network within a week. Not to mention expanding to the world, but I want to see our weight loss drugs sold in pharmacies in major cities in China. Mr. Lu, how are the supply price and retail price determined? The head of the marketing department asked. I have communicated with His Highness about this issue. The domestic supply price of light pill is 399 Han Yuan/box, and the retail price cannot be higher than 450 Han Yuan/box. As for foreign countries, after the market is developed, the price will be determined according to the local market conditions. 399 Han Yuan, that is, 400 Han Yuan supply price, is not cheap. According to the exchange rate, it is about $114. If converted into Longhua currency, it is about 800 yuan per box. This is still the supply price, and the retail price is 450 Han Yuan. This price is expensive not only for Longhua, but also for Xinhan. Although the price is expensive, the product is really good. Powerful weight loss pills. And there are no side effects. Where can you find such medicine? 24 pills/box, based on an average of 3 times a day, 6 pills, that is, it can be taken for 4 days, and in these 4 days, at least 4 to 5 kgs of weight can be lost. Moreover, most ordinary weight loss pills cannot really reduce fat, but are simply absorbed by tissues. Unlike Jimin's light pill, it is comprehensive, not only reduces absorption, but also promotes human fat burning, and sells for hundreds of dollars per box. This price is really not expensive in his opinion. You should know that one injection of semaglutide costs thousands of yuan, or even tens of thousands of yuan, and the effect is not as good as his. Moreover, semaglutide has great side effects and is prone to rebound. Therefore, it is sold at 350 Han yuan/box in Xinhan. This price is already in consideration of Xiao Yunhai's efforts to reduce the burden on the people. Otherwise, he planned to sell it for 1,000 Han yuan per box. And if you want to see a significant effect from a box of slimming pills, you have to take at least 3 to 4 boxes. In other words, it will cost thousands of Han yuan to see a significant effect. Okay, follow my instructions, and all departments should do it as soon as possible. Everyone, whether our company can get a good start depends on this move, and His Highness is very concerned about this matter. Everyone said solemnly, yes. Soon, the entire Jimin group started to operate. The marketing department began to run the offline market. The marketing department began to look for spokespersons. In less than a day, the marketing department found some popular Hollywood and Longwa actresses on the internet. After printing out the photos of actresses who met the requirements from the internet, they handed them to Lu Lin. After Lu Lin got the candidate list, he carefully screened and considered, and finally decided on Fan Xiaopeng as the spokesperson for Greater China and Britney Spears as the spokesperson for Europe and the United States. When Xiao Yunhai learned that the product spokespersons were 2 people, and after watching the recent life photos of the 2 people, he did not feel anything wrong. At this moment, Fan Xiaopeng is not yet a celebrity, and is a well-deserved first-line top female star in Longwa. Britney Spears needs no introduction. She is known as Xiao Tian, the queen of the music world, and has a great influence in Europe and the United States. Although the black material has been exposed in recent years and her reputation is not very good, although black and red are not red. As long as there is a topic and someone pays attention, it will be fine. Let's just go with these 2 people. Contact them as soon as possible to finalize the endorsement cooperation. Xiao Yunhai closed the file and handed it to Lin Na. The latter nodded, picked up the file, and left the office. A few minutes later. Okay, Secretary Lin, I got it. I'll arrange it right away. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Lu Lin called the secretary and said in a deep voice, Go, tell the marketing department to send someone to contact Britney and Fan Xiaopeng immediately to get the endorsement as soon as possible, and then shoot the advertising promotional video. Yes. The secretary quickly agreed. Longwa. Fan Xiaopeng Studio. Since leaving Hui last year, Fan Xiaopeng has established his own independent studio. Relying on the money she earned in the past few years and the connections she made in the circle, she has a good life, especially the relationship with the Hong Kong circle, which enables her to star in some big productions. That day, she was filming New Shaolin Temple somewhere in the Central Plains. She had just finished filming a scene and was taking a break when her assistant received a call. Sister Bing Bing, Mr. Yang called and said he has something important to tell you. Oh. Hearing that it was Yang Tianjin looking for him, Fan Xiaopeng took the phone. Hello? Bing Bing, a pharmaceutical company wants you to be its spokesperson. Yang Tianjin told Fan Xiaopeng about the matter in a concise and succinct manner. I heard it was a pharmaceutical company. It was a weight loss drug. Fan Xiaopeng subconsciously refused. Forget it, this kind of company must be a scam company. After the endorsement, people will buy it and it will not work. It will only damage my image. I know, but they pay a lot. This company paid 8 million yuan and asked you to endorse and shoot a promotional video. Yang Tianjin knew it, but they paid a lot. 8 million? Fan Xiaopeng was a little moved. You should know that her endorsement at this time is basically 2.5 million for 2 years, which is already the top endorsement price in the mainland. Like the National White Moonlight Lu Tianxian, the endorsement price at this time is also 3 million for 2 years. Most female stars in the mainland only get a few 100,000 for endorsements. The real price surge only occurred after 2014, when internet capital entered the entertainment industry. 8 million, it has tripled. Chapter 26, What to Take Internally. New research results, New Han Kingdom. Capital Chang'an, Jimin Pharmaceutical Company. What? Still need to take it? No, why didn't you tell me before? hearing that he had to take the medicine for another 4 days. Young Tianjin was immediately anxious. Fatty Fan on the side also looked unhappy. This unknown company, if there are no side effects, it's fine. If there are side effects, then it seems that the two are worried. Lu Lin, the CEO, explained in person, please rest assured, both of you, our weight loss medicine is really effective and has no side effects. Look, this is the approval information we got from the State Drug Administration. The two did not reach out to take it. For the two, how real is such a small country? Boss Lu, if we had known that we had to take the drug, we wouldn't have signed it. Young Tianjin said, now I have a question, do we have to take this drug? Lu Lin nodded, looked at Fan Xiaopeng who was gloomy on the side, and explained, Ms. Fan, this is our new product. It has been clinically tested many times and has been approved. The reason for taking this is mainly to enhance the user's credibility in this drug. Can't it be processed later? Fan Xiaopeng asked. Lu Lin shook his head, our company will not do that kind of deceptive method. As he said, trying to ease the atmosphere, he said, you too, it's not that we want to force you. Our company is a royal enterprise, and the image it represents is different, so we can't do anything fake. Fan Xiaopeng looked ugly. Young Tianjin also had a headache. If I knew it earlier, I shouldn't have rushed to sign the contract. Now, if I break the contract, I have to pay 20 million. If you don't break the contract, you have to take this unknown medicine. Sister Bing Bing, look. Young Tianjin had no choice but to turn his attention to Fan Xiaopeng and let her make the decision. After all, she was just an employee. Fan Xiaopeng was the boss. Fan Xiaopeng struggled for a while, and finally gritted his teeth, how to use this medicine. How much to take? Yes. Fan Xiaopeng finally compromised. 20 million. It's not a small number for her. This is already 1/3 of her wealth. Or 40%, naturally, she didn't want to pay back all her years of hard work to others in one day. Take 2 pills each time, morning, noon and evening, after meals, that is, 6 pills a day. Fan Xiaopeng reached out to take the medicine. Smiling face, okay, we can start shooting. Okay. Lu Lin hurriedly called the photographer borrowed from the Dream Chaser company. Then he came to the temporary lighting shooting site and took a lot of photos of the fat Fan Xiaopeng. Especially the thick legs. It is even more of a focus of filming. Since leaving Hui, Fan Xiaopeng has been somewhat self-indulgent. She doesn't pay as much attention to body management as before. Her thighs are not as slender as before. Instead, they are very bloated, which is completely inconsistent with her beautiful face. Xinghanchang'an Center, Building 5. Biomedical Research Institute. Your Highness, this is the breast augmentation medicine developed according to the formula and pharmaceutical process you provided. It can effectively stimulate the secondary development of this part of women by taking it orally and applying it externally. Xiao Yunhai looked at a small medicine bottle in front of him, which contained a light blue oily liquid. He looked at another granular medicine. Has the clinical trial passed? It has been tested. After using it, 5 patients all had a larger cup size. Hearing that it could be a size larger, Xiao Yunhai nodded. As long as it works. What I'm afraid of is that it doesn't work. Will it rebound? No, as long as you stick to it for 2 months, it won't rebound. Of course, if the other person loses weight, it will have an impact, but as long as they don't lose a lot of weight, it won't have an impact. Xiao Yunhai nodded. As long as there is no rebound. If there is no rebound, more people will buy it. So, it's not that the drug is not effective. Since there is no problem, then hand over the formula and process flow to Lu Lin as soon as possible. In addition, I have 2 new formulas here, you can start to study them. Xiao Yunhai took out 2 beauty products that he recently exchanged from the system. That is, whitening lotion and acne and freckle skin care lotion. According to the system introduction, whitening lotion can make the skin whiter after long-term use, and there will be no rebound. It is completely different from those on the market that simply apply a layer of powder. This is a deep change of the skin, making black skin white. Of course, it is impossible to really change from black to white, but it can make the skin whiter than before. Acne and freckle lotion, as the name suggests, it is to remove spots and acne on the face. It is real freckle removal. It is not the temporary one, or the original appearance after washing off the skincare products. It deeply changes the skin tissue, making the spots on the face fade and disappear. If it is the temporary skincare products on the market, Xiao Yunhai will not even look at it. It is not worth his exchange. It is precisely because of the fundamental change of the skin that he came to the research institute. Don't underestimate this kind of skincare products, but it is very profitable. It is no worse than medicine. Especially this kind of whitening, acne and freckle skincare products. The fighting power of little fairies is very terrifying. I would rather not eat or drink, but I have to spend money to dress myself up. Otherwise, the global skincare market size has reached more than $200 billion, and it will reach $500 billion or $600 billion in the next few years. It supports dozens of international cosmetics giants. In his plan, at least a pharmaceutical giant with an annual revenue of $100 billion and a daily chemical or beauty giant with tens of billions of dollars should be incubated. In combination with oil, these three things alone can net us $200 billion to $300 billion a year. Only when we have money can we fully arm our army, improve our combat effectiveness, and form a deterrent to other countries. Chapter 27. Oh my God, it's amazing, I really lost weight. After staying in the Biomedical Research Institute for more than an hour, Xiao Yunhai came out and saw Lin Na coming over with a serious face. Your Highness. What happened? The cooperation with Disney to build a theme park has failed. Failed? Why did it fail? Our people talk to Disney, and they think that we in Xinhan are not capable of building a Disney theme park, and that our consumption capacity and population are not enough to support it. Have you told them that we will provide the money and the land, and they only need to authorize and they can earn 15% of the profit without doing anything? Xiao Yunhai raised his eyebrows and asked. I have told them that they disagreed and believed that the failure of the operation would damage the image of the Disney theme park. Xiao Yunhai's face suddenly became ugly. What does it mean? You look down on them in Xinhan, right? What's the situation on Bangui Island? Has the design plan come out? Xiao Yunhai asked coldly. Lin Na nodded. 3 companies have submitted their design plans. Well, send their design plans to my email. Also, contact the people of the Royal Investment Bureau and go to the United States. Since Disney is not willing to accept the toast, let's teach them a lesson and tell the Royal Investment Bureau that they will also snatch Marvel from Disney if they spend money on me. Also, let them contact the IP owner of Jurassic Park and talk to them to find a way to buy the adaptation rights. I wanted to have a good talk with Disney and was even willing to let the other party pick up 15% of the profit for free, but they looked down on it. Since they couldn't reach an agreement, they had to pay the price for their arrogance. He remembered that Disney had negotiated the acquisition with Marvel at the end of this year, and the transaction must be intercepted by next year. He has never been afraid of more money than money. As for buying the IP adaptation rights of Jurassic Park, it was because he felt that this theme was very suitable for building a theme park in Xinhan. Xinhan has too many small islands to build. Although Universal also has a theme park called Jurassic Park, the replica is too fake, with rubber sleeves and not flexible at all. It is a complete waste of this theme. If you were to build it, not to mention real dinosaurs, but through AI algorithms and bionic bone technology, it would be completely flexible and walk like a real dinosaur. There are many IPs suitable for building theme parks in Xinhan, such as Pirates of the Caribbean. However, this thing has to be done step by step. The IPs of Tomb Raiders, Ghost Blowing Light, and Zhu Xian have been acquired, and it is not too late to build these first. Okay, Your Highness. Lin Na nodded and wrote down Xiao Yunhai's words. By the way, how is the progress of Jimin Pharmaceutical? Has the commercial been filmed? When can it be officially sold to the public? There are many places that need money now. A golden chicken that can lay eggs is urgently needed. Oil is one, but it is the royal family's assets after all, not his personal assets. Unless he becomes king, the assets of the Royal Investment Administration, including Xinhan Royal Petroleum Company, Xinhan Royal Power Company, and other companies' shares will all be his. Although he is not the king now, he is only the crown prince. There is still a difference between one word. We are already shooting the commercial. It is said that a female star from Longhua is already in Jimin Company. Oh. Xiao Yunhai raised his eyebrows. What about Brittany? Have you agreed? It's agreed. She doesn't have time this month and can only come next month. Xiao Yunhai nodded. Compared with the Longhua market, he actually values the European and American markets and Latin America more, because there are too many obesity diseases in these areas. Perhaps it is because of the long-term consumption of fried and high-calorie foods that 40% of the people in these areas are overweight. Especially in the United States and Latin America, the proportion is even higher. It will take a few years for Longwa to start paying attention to the problem of obesity. However, with a large base and the concept of thinness as beauty, the potential market is not small. Moreover, Jimin's weight loss drug is not just for weight loss, but also can reduce high blood lipids and blood sugar. After all, the essence of this drug is to speed up the body's metabolism and promote fat decomposition, which indirectly reduces blood lipids and blood sugar. Let's go. Xiao Yunhai got on the car, and the convoy left the park and drove towards the palace. Time flies. 4 days have passed. This is also the 5th day that Fatty Fan has been taking diet pills. In the morning, he got up, washed up, and prepared to go to Jimin Pharmaceutical Company. Today is the last day, and he only needs to shoot a video of more than 10 seconds and take some photos to end it. Dong dong, I heard a knock on the door. I'm here. Fan Xiaopeng, who was washing his face, opened the door. Outside the room was Yang Tianjin. Sister Bingbing, today is the last day. We can return home after the photo shoot. I have already booked the plane ticket. The flight is at 3 p.m. and will arrive in Yanjing at around 8 p.m. Wait, Sister Bingbing, you seem to have lost weight. Lower weight? Have you? Yes. Yang Tianjin said firmly. As she thought of something, she quickly took out her mobile phone and opened a photo of Fan Xiaopeng in the album. Look, your legs are much thinner, and the fat on your belly is also less. Fan Xiaopeng looked at the photo carefully and compared it with his body. Surprised, it's true, it's really much smaller. The company really didn't lie. Yang Tianjin asked anxiously, Sister Bingbing, have you had any unusual symptoms of discomfort these days? Abnormal? Uncomfortable? Fan Xiaopeng thought for a while and shook his head. Nothing is uncomfortable, just like usual, but I go to the toilet more often. Go to the toilet more often? Yang Tianjin analyzed. That should be because after taking the medicine, the metabolism is enhanced and the body fat is excreted. It seems that this medicine is really effective. In this comparison, you have lost at least 4 or 5 pounds. TSK Tisk, it's amazing, taking medicine can lose weight. If this medicine has no side effects, it will definitely be a hit. Fan Xiaopeng nodded and agreed with her. Sister Bingbing, just to be safe, after the filming, after returning to Yanjing, do a physical examination. Okay. She would also go for the test without Yang Tianjin. At 10:30, the two came to Jimin Pharmaceutical Company. After taking photos and videos, Lu Lin met the two in person. Miss Fan, you have worked hard these days. Thank you for your cooperation. Mr. Lu, you are too polite. This is what I should do. That being said, I still have to thank you. Thank you for your trust. If there is a suitable opportunity in the future, I hope to cooperate with Miss Fan again. Of course there will be. The two shook hands and exchanged a few polite words. Lu Lin specially arranged a car to take them to the airport. Fan Xiaopeng was not polite either. 1 day later. A hospital in Yanjing. Miss Fan, judging from your physical examination report, there is no problem. It is just some routine inflammation problems. Take some anti-inflammatory drugs. Fan Xiaopeng, who was dressed in disguise, still had some hope. Is it really okay? How about you take another look, or do another test or something like that? Miss Fan is really okay. You have done a lot of tests and really found no abnormalities. The doctor was helpless. It was the first time he had seen such a patient. It seemed like he hoped there was something wrong. Okay then, Fan Xiaopeng was relieved when he saw that the other party did not look fake. Picked up the bag, stood up and said, Thank you, doctor. You're welcome. Outside the door. How is it? After seeing Fan Xiaopeng coming out, Yang Tianjin hurried forward to ask. Fan Xiaopeng was in a relaxed mood, with a smile on his face. Doctor, there is no problem, just a little inflammation. That's good. Yang Tianjin breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, It's normal to have inflammation, just take some medicine. Mr. Yang, call Jimin Pharmaceutical Company and ask when their weight loss drug will be on the market. After trying the magic of this weight loss drug, Fan Xiaopeng naturally hopes to buy it for emergency use. The main reason is that this drug is different from other drugs. Not only does it have no side effects, but it also does not require dieting. This is the power. Yang Tianjin nodded, yes, ask. Seeing the effect on Fan Xiaopeng, Yang Tianjin, who is also obese, also wants to lose weight. As long as a person loses weight, not to mention the clothes, just the appearance will be a few points better. Chapter 28. No, how did Disney insult Marvel? United States. After receiving the order, Li Yi brought his team to California, United States. He met Kevin, the boss of Marvel. After expressing his intention, Kevin said apologetically, "Sorry, sir, I have already negotiated with Disney to sell the company to Disney." Li Yi raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, "Have you signed the contract?" "No, we have just agreed on the price." "Excuse me, how much did Disney bid to buy Marvel?" "This." Kevin was a little embarrassed. After all, the contract had not been signed. "Mr. Kevin, don't be embarrassed, it will be announced sooner or later anyway." Li Yi smiled. Hearing this, Kevin nodded. "Li, you are right, to be honest, Disney bid $4.3 billion to buy the entire Marvel company." Kevin was not stupid and deliberately said the price was a little higher. In fact, the price he negotiated with Disney was only $4.24 billion. However, for the wealthy Oasis capital, an extra $100 million or $200 million is nothing. What is important is whether Xiao Yunhai's order can be completed. After a quick turn of his head, Li Yi's expression changed, and he pretended to be angry. "Mr. Kevin, Disney is insulting your company." "Insult?" Kevin was stunned. "I don't understand, how did Disney insult Marvel?" "Li, where do you get this from?" Li Yi said seriously, "Mr. Kevin, think about it, the box office of just one Iron Man movie reached more than $500 million. How can Marvel, which has so many superhero characters, be worth only $4.3 billion? Kevin was stunned, and then his eyes moved slightly, trying to ask, "Li, how much do you think Marvel should be worth?" $4.5 billion. At least $4.5 billion. Looking at the serious Li Yi, Kevin almost laughed. There was disappointment in his eyes. He thought it would be $500 million or $600 million, but it only increased by more than $200 million? Well, more than $200 million is not a small amount. Li Yi put away his smile and looked at Kevin opposite him seriously. "Mr. Kevin, as I just said, our company is willing to bid $4.5 billion to buy your company. I believe that we are the only ones willing to spend so much money to buy your company. You should think about it carefully. Instead of selling it to Disney and becoming one of Disney's many character IPs, it is better to sell it to us. At least we will work hard to build the Marvel Universe, so that all the heroes in the Marvel Universe can shine like Iron Man. Are you really going to buy it and make it into a movie?" Kevin looked at Li Yi closely. "Yes, sir." Li Yi smiled and said, "Not only will it be made into a movie, but it will also be made into a TV series. Otherwise, we would not spend so much money to buy it. You know, $4.5 billion is not a small number." "Yes. They spent $4.5 billion to buy it. It must be adapted into a movie or TV series. Otherwise, what to change after buying it?" Thinking of this, Kevin made a decision in his heart. He extended his hand and said with a smile, "Li, you are right. Disney wants to buy Marvel for $4.24 billion. It is simply an insult to the great Marvel company. You are the one who knows the goods. I am willing to sell the company to you. $4.24 billion? Mr. Kevin, didn't you say $4.3 billion before?" Kevin's heart jumped, and he cursed himself for being too proud and saying the real price. "Ah. Is there? You must have heard it wrong. Besides, it's the past tense and it doesn't matter." "Li, don't you think so?" Kevin said with a smile. Li Yi shrugged, knowing that he was tricked by Kevin, but it was only more than $100 million. As long as he could take over Marvel, he would have completed the task assigned by Xiao Yunhai. "Kevin, you are right, these are not important. I am glad that you can choose a reliable buyer. I wish us a happy cooperation." "Chelsea, Li, happy cooperation." The two old foxes smiled at each other. One was happy to sell more than $200 million. The other was happy to complete the task assigned by Xiao Yunhai. In order to avoid more trouble, the two parties signed the contract on the same day. In addition, the penalty for breach of contract was increased to $10 billion in order to prevent Kevin from changing his mind. After the contract was signed, Li Yi immediately called Xiao Yunhai and reported the matter to him. "Your Highness, the Marvel matter has been settled. The old man asked for $4.5 billion. I have agreed and signed the contract." Xiao Yunhai did not think the asking price of $4.5 billion was too much. After all, Disney had already offered $4.24 billion. If he wanted to intercept, the price would naturally have to be higher. Also, those guys in Europe and the United States, under the same conditions, would basically choose to sell to white people, and rarely sell to yellow countries such as Dragon Country and Island Country at an equal price. Now that Marvel has been acquired for $4.5 billion, it is not a loss. After all, Marvel is also a large series of IPs. Not only can it make money by making movies, but it can also create theme parks, animations, and peripherals. There are too many places to make money. The adaptation rights of Jurassic Park must be accelerated. Xiao Yunhai reminded. Compared with Marvel, he believes that the theme of Jurassic Park is more suitable for creating theme parks. Okay, Your Highness. A man in love and a concubine in mind, eager to complete the transaction, both parties officially completed the transaction in less than 3 days. And announced the news to the public as soon as possible. Recently, it was reported that Marvel, a well-known comic and film company, recently reached an agreement with an investment institution to acquire Marvel for a total price of $4.5 billion. It is reported that this company named Oasis Investment is an investment company founded by the Crown Prince of the New Han Kingdom. It has invested in Facebook, YouTube, and other internet companies. The news quickly fermented in the United States and even the global internet. Compared with the US media's concern about Marvel's copyright, the people in Longwa lamented that the New Han royal family was too rich. They spent nearly $3 billion to give money to the people. After that, they spent another $4.5 billion to buy a company, which was simply too arrogant. On the internet of New Han, the royal family wasted too much money. A comic and film company was not worth so much money at all. No matter how the royal family spends their own money, it is the royal family's freedom. However, this incident attracted the attention of a company, that is Disney. You know, acquiring many Marvel superheroes and expanding the IP camp is Disney's strategy. Seeing that it was a done deal, someone jumped out to intercept it, which caused the Disney acquisition department and even the Disney executives to be furious. Chapter 29. Walking on two legs, the military industry must also develop. Disney. Group meeting room. What happened? Why was the acquisition that had been negotiated intercepted by someone? Also, what is the origin of this Oasis company? Early in the morning, the group CEO, Luo Meng, who saw the news, convened an emergency meeting of senior executives, slammed the table and shouted angrily at the meeting. Faced with Luo Meng's rage, most people looked unhappy. No one expected that Marvel would break the contract after the deal was agreed, and Kevin actually sold the company to someone else. It was completely a trick. Facing Luo Meng's questioning, the person in charge of the acquisition said with a stiff face, "President, I have checked. The company that intercepted is called Oasis Investment Company, which is the personal company of the Crown Prince of Xinhan. I heard that Oasis came to the company a few days ago to seek cooperation to build a Disney theme park in Xinhan, but we rejected it." Luo Meng frowned and immediately understood the meaning of the words. "You mean, the other party intercepted Marvel Company because we disagreed to build a theme park, and then held a grudge?" "Yes, sir, I think it is very likely because of this matter." Luo Meng frowned, put his fingers lightly on the table, and fell into deep thought. The other party is not small, a company of a crown prince. If it was an ordinary royal family, it would be fine, but the key is that this royal family is also a super rich man, a king with real power, which means a lot. Contact Oasis, talk to them, and find a way to buy Marvel. After thinking for a while, Luo Meng was still unwilling to give up the acquisition of Marvel, and decided to talk to Oasis again. When necessary, he would make appropriate concessions and take over Marvel. Soon, Li Yi, who was still in the United States, received a call from Disney, asking him to meet. Li Yi thought about it and decided to meet to see what the other party said. If they can cooperate, it would be the best thing. After all, His Highness wanted to build a Disney theme park in Xinhan before. The next day, Li Yi took a car to the agreed coffee shop. The two sides shook hands, and after getting to know each other, Luo Meng went straight to the point. "Mr. Li, let's get straight to the point. The Marvel company you acquired was a company we had high hopes for before, and the price had been negotiated and the contract was about to be signed, but in the end your company came out to snatch it." "Really? I really didn't know, I just think Marvel has a bright future." Li Yi put down the coffee cup in his hand, pursed his lips, and smiled at Luo Meng opposite him. The latter's face darkened. He cursed Li Yi for being shameless in his heart. "You dare to say that you didn't know Disney was acquiring it before you acquired it?" Although he wanted to kill Li Yi immediately, it was just a thought. Humph. With a cold snort, Luo Meng looked at Li Yi with a cold face. Mr. Li, let's not beat around the bush, let's talk about the conditions directly. What do you want to sell Marvel to us, Disney? Hearing this, Li Yi smiled indifferently. I think Mr. Luo Meng misunderstood. Our Oasis company is not short of money. We bought Marvel Company because we are optimistic about the development of this company and have no intention of selling it. Yes. If the previous acquisition of Marvel was to disrupt the situation and teach Disney a lesson, it is different now. Now the boss intends to hold it and rely on the top domestic special effects team to deepen the Marvel universe. The potential of its IP is not much worse than that of Disney. On the contrary, most of the IPs of Disney theme parks are teenagers. The potential is not as good as that of adult IPs such as Marvel. Moreover, Marvel also has a greater influence among European and American teenagers. Like Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, which one is not influential? Moreover, Xiao Yunhai also knows that Marvel movies will be popular for more than 10 years in the future, earning more than $10 billion in box office worldwide, not counting the peripherals. Why sell such a money-making IP? Impossible, you intercepted Marvel, don't you just hope to cooperate with Disney in theme parks? As long as you are willing to sell Marvel to us at the original price, I can agree to build a Disney theme park in Xinhan with your investment, and Disney will only charge 10% of the profit. Luo Meng said coldly. Li Yi smiled and shook his head, put down the coffee cup in his hand, wiped the dirt from the corner of his mouth with a tissue, and said with a smile, Mr. Luo Meng is right. We did have this idea before, but the company changed its mind and no longer seeks cooperation to build a Disney theme park. Then why did you come out to see me? Luo Meng curled his lips, thinking that Li Yi was just being stubborn. If you don't want to buy it, there is no need to come out to meet him again. Li Yi laughed when he heard it. Mr. Luo Meng misunderstood. I came out just to get to know you. I have no other ideas. Okay, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. We'll have coffee together another day when we have time. After saying that, Li Yi smiled slightly, stood up, and left the coffee shop with people, leaving behind Luo Meng with a gloomy face. I thought it was a sure thing, but it turned out to be a slap in the face. They didn't sell it at all. Cuck. Damn Asians. Roman, who was furious and felt humiliated, waved his hand to knock away the coffee cup in front of him and left angrily. Seeing this, the boss quickly stepped forward to ask for compensation, but was stopped by Luo Meng's bodyguard, who then stuffed a few $100s into his pocket and left. Looking at the US dollars in his hand, the boss's face looked better. Then, he cleaned up the garbage on the ground. Xiao Yunhai, who was in Xinhan, was not aware of this little episode, and even if he knew, he would not care. At this time, he was in the bedroom, looking at the discounted products in the System Mall. This week, the System Mall has exploded 2 more good things. JAS-39 Fighter full set of technical research and development data, original price 1.5 billion points, limited time 10% discount, 150 million points. General Series Drone Technology, original price 25 million points, limited time 10% discount, 2.5 million points. Chapter 30, Gripen Fighter, weight loss pills are on the market. There is no need to talk about the general drone technology. The drone market has great potential in the future. Although it is a consumer-grade drone, if it is well made, it should be no problem to make billions of dollars a year. Although civilian drones cannot be used for military purposes? Compared with drone technology, he is more optimistic about the JAS-39 fighter. This fighter is currently in service with Xinhan. It was not cheap when it was bought. The fighter alone cost $45 million, not including air-to-air missiles. This was bought in 2003. The JAS-39 fighter, also known as the Gripen fighter, is a 4th-generation aircraft developed by the Nordic country of Sweden. However, many parts are imported from other countries. For example, the engine is an improved version of the General Electric F404 turbofan engine, also known as the RM12 engine, with a maximum thrust of 80.5 knots and a military thrust of 54 knots, which is considered a standard aircraft engine. Although the next few years will be the era of 5th-generation aircraft, for Xinhan, it is also a progress to develop a 4th-generation aircraft based on the Gripen fighter and achieve something from scratch. Moreover, Xinhan is equipped with the Gripen fighter. If it is developed, it will not be too incredible. After all, with the predecessor of Longhua, it is not impossible to reversely develop fighters. Although Xiao Yunhai wants to be low-key and develop his country's economy without attracting attention, he cannot fall behind in the military. It can be kept secret. It can be hidden. But it must be there. In this way, there will be something to deal with when a crisis really occurs. Besides, 150 million points are not much for him. Without hesitation, Xiao Yunhai quickly bought the full set of R&D technical data of the JAS-39 fighter and the technical data of the general UAV. He did not withdraw it from the warehouse immediately, but watched the systems data on the JAS-39 fighter. This look surprised him a little. I thought the JAS-39 fighter used the RM-12 aircraft engine, but it turned out to be the F414 GE-39E engine. This engine is much stronger than the RM-12. The maximum thrust reaches 6.3 tons, the afterburner thrust is 9.9, and the thrust-to-weight ratio reaches 9. The thrust is 27% stronger than the previous RM-12 engine, and it also saves 2% of fuel consumption in terms of fuel saving. The thrust is 40% higher in low-altitude combat, and many parts are common with the RM-12. For a small country, the commonality of parts is undoubtedly a big problem. It was okay when there was no sanctions, but once the sanctions were imposed, it would be troublesome to import parts. Xiao Yunhai has a deep understanding of this. After all, in his previous life, the Russian bear was sanctioned by Western countries led by the United States, resulting in various import difficulties. Therefore, whether it is from the development of new fighters, the construction of national defense, or the replacement of parts in the future, Xiao Yunhai believes that it is necessary to develop the JAS-39 fighter. The next day, Xiao Yunhai asked Lin Na to find a map of Chang'an City. After careful observation and measurement, the north of the city was finally circled. An undeveloped area near the mountains was used as a military research and development site. This area is close to the mountains. There are few people around. Secondly, the terrain is a gourd mouth, which is not easy to sneak into. It is only 3 or 4 kilometers away from the location of the palace, very close, and he can go there at any time. In addition, if there is a problem, the royal guards can be mobilized to support at the first time. Just right. The next day. After the finalization, Xiao Yunhai visited the site that afternoon. After confirming that there was no problem, he immediately instructed Lin Na to transfer $100 million from the Oasis Company account to build warehouses, buildings, airports, walls, outposts, and other military facilities in the valley. With a royal background leading the project and the money in place, the construction speed will naturally be faster. In order to catch up with the progress, the construction company that undertook the construction project can be said to be 24 hours a day, 3 shifts to build. The purpose is to achieve the 5-month delivery target. Xiao Yunhai did not wait specifically for the building. He spent money to buy a closed-down factory, and then recruited 500 aircraft manufacturing experts from the system. Especially experts in aero-engine, air-to-air missiles, radar, and other fields. Throw the technical data of JAS-39 fighter jets to them. In order to ensure the safety of this place, Xiao Yunhai specially asked the royal guards to dispatch 600 people to be stationed here for a long time and implement a 24-hour protection system. To prevent enemy spies from penetrating, or disturbing and affecting the development of fighter jets by people inside. Just when Xiao Yunhai led the tourism and military projects in full swing, Jimin Pharmaceutical Company's advertisements were officially launched in Xinhan, in the mainland of Longhua, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and even in the Lion City area. The publicity cost alone was $200 million for publicity. The main theme is a posture of I am rich and I am arrogant. Longhua. As the focus of this publicity, the base camp. Mango TV, YTV, and several major online portals all covered the publicity reports. Offline subway stations, buses, and even business districts have seen Fan Xiaopeng endorse the Qingyingdan diet pill. Not just one city, but covering the main first dash, second dash, and third-tier cities in Longhua. And the content of the promotional picture is Fan Xiaopeng with a bloated face and a distressed look. What should I do if I gain weight again? Is it difficult to lose weight? No, with it, there is no trouble. Qingyingdan, a magical diet pill that can lose weight without dieting. Look, this is what it looked like 4 days ago. On the second day of taking the Qingyingdan diet pill, the weight was amazingly reduced by 1 gene. Oh my god, on the 5th day, I have lost more than 4 gene, Qingyingdan, a secret recipe from the Xinhan Palace. Losing 20 gene in a month is no longer a dream. And it can not only lose weight, but also reduce the blood lipids and blood sugar of people. King Yingdan, a magical diet pill. If you want to lose weight, then choose it.